Всім добрий вечір. Дайте, будь ласка, реакцію, чи мене добре чуєте? Добре, ми починаємо. Всім ще раз добрий вечір. Мене звати Ступицька Надія, я методистка TalkEn.Cloud and Green Country English School Network. Це другий вебінар з серії Teach Like a Pro, який проводить тренінговим центром TalkEn.Cloud підтримку ініціативи Міністерства освіти і науки України з відновлення освітнього процесу «Школа. Ми разом». Після цього тренінгу на наступний день всі учасники вебінару отримають листа на електронну пошту, на пошту, яку учасники залишили в формі реєстрації. В цьому листі ви отримаєте наступну інформацію. Перше, це посилання на запис цього вебінару. Далі, коротка загальна інформація цього вебінару, а також тест для отримання сертифікату. Цей сертифікат ви можете отримати, якщо ви проходите тест з результатом 80 та більше правильних відповідей. Також прошу вас долучитися до цього тренінгу і брати активну участь в обговоренні у чаті. Отож, ми починаємо. One moment, please. So, today we start our training that is called Zoom and its features. So, I guess that you are not the beginners and you already know what Zoom is and what features it has. But today we will speak about some specific features and how they can be used during your lessons online. So, to begin with, I would like you to share some information. So please, scan the QR code that you can see on your screen and answer 2 questions. What are your top 3 most frequently used Zoom features? And what are some challenges that you face conducting lessons with the help of Zoom? For example, my top 3 most frequently used Zoom features are Whiteboard, chat, and breakout rooms. So I use them for different purposes. Please share how you use Zoom features and what kind of problems do you usually face conducting lessons online. Waiting for your answers, please. So please share what are your top 3 most frequently used Zoom features and what challenges you face while conducting lessons online. If you can't use the QR code, if you are now watching this webinar from your phone, please, you are welcome to use our chat, share your ideas there. All right, I can already see some answers. So, top 3 most frequently used features. Sharing the screen, for sure, yeah. I didn't mention it, but yes, it's really useful and we can use it in different ways. All right. So waiting for some other answers. So don't hesitate. If you can't use the QR code, please write in the chat. It's all right. So board demonstration or screen demonstration, sharing, recording, and background. All right. Pointer, whiteboard, breakout rooms, chat. Great. And what about challenges? What challenges do you face? All right. So some regions don't have access to some features. Yeah, all right. Breakout rooms, recording of the lessons. Okay. So you are professionals in using Zoom for teaching online. That's cool. So now let us move on and we are going to discuss even more. All right, let me share my screen. All right. So the first thing to do when you start working with Zoom is, of course, some settings. So we are going to discuss some basic settings that are really important to check before starting work. So there are some things to check beforehand. First of all, it's Zoom web portal. There are some basic settings that you need to enable there. Then some settings in the meeting. Yeah, so while conducting the meeting, you are also able to do some changes, to make some changes to what you have to your toolbar, to some features that are available to you as a host or to your participants. And of course, you need to decide which Zoom plan to use. So let us start with Zoom website. So when you log in and enter the Zoom website, check please if you enabled the following things. The first is waiting room. So of course, waiting room is really helpful because it allows you to check who is trying to join your meeting. If it's your student, if you have the student in your list, or it's some stranger and you don't need to allow this person to join this meeting. The second thing is chat. So we have different options, what exactly to enable. For example, you can allow your students to write in the chat to everyone to see the messages or directly to one person or to the host. You need to keep in mind that the option to type something directly to one person is not always a good thing. Yeah, so there are different types of students, there are different situations. So it's better to enable the feature that everyone can send the message for everyone to see or privately to the host. The next thing, it's a more recent feature, some kind of a new experience that is possible using the chat. First of all, you may allow your students to delete the messages in the meeting chat, so they can delete their messages, and you can, of course, delete the messages that are sent by every participant. Also, enabling the screenshot feature is really useful. For example, you want to share the task with your students, you can demonstrate it on your screen, and you can ask one of the students to take a screenshot. Yeah, if there are some students who can't do this. So one student can take a screenshot and share it in the chat for everyone to use it. And also the new feature is reactions. So now students are allowed to use reactions under the writings in the chat. So they can even comment each other's statements and discuss. So it's one of the tools as well. The next thing is screen sharing. So for some particular activities, you might ask your students to share the task on the screen. For example, you might ask students to discuss some topics, and you can ask to do it in the breakout rooms. So while your students are in breakout rooms, one participant is sharing the screen with the topics to discuss, and both or all the participants of the breakout room are able to work actively, because everyone has access to all the topics. It can be not only for discussing, it can be for controlled practice, it can be for semi-controlled practice, for filling gaps, and whatever you prefer. Also, the next thing is annotation. So, tell me please, do you sometimes allow your students to write, to draw on your screen? Let me know, please, in the chat if you allow or not, and for what reason, like why, what is the aim, for which tasks? For example, when I want my students to be more engaged into the activity, or I want them to work actively and I want to see what they are doing, I can ask them to write or draw something on my screen. Or, to have some fun as well. So some teachers allow to mark correct answers on the screen. For doing exercises, great. Brainstorming, cool. So it works, I guess, with all levels and with all ages. So students can use annotations really in a cool way. Sometimes you even need to stop this option for your students, when they become disobedient. But for some specific aims, for some specific tasks, it's quite a good feature to use. Also, don't forget to enable the next feature, that is Whiteboard. You can use it for given feedback, for given examples, to share a screen, to ask your students to draw, and whatnot. The next thing, breakout rooms. Of course, everyone knows about this feature. It is really important to use during your lessons, not to have all the activities open class, because it's not always efficient and effective for some activities. Also, there are some specific features that can be helpful for teachers when they want to add some information when students are already in the breakout rooms. How can you do it? You can broadcast your message to students, for example, letting them know how much time is left for them to complete the activity, or you might remind them of some structures that should be used during the discussion. What else? You can broadcast not only a message, but also voice. Sometimes it's even better. And the next thing that you will be able to see if you enable this feature is the statuses of participants in the breakout rooms. if they are working, if they are speaking, who is speaking at this particular moment, who is sharing the screen, are there any reactions, and so on. The next thing is virtual background. So it's rather useful. You can see now my virtual background. Your students might also need this thing, because we are not always in some appropriate, perfect situations. We are not always alone. We are not always in some isolated place without people around. So yeah, it's a great thing to try for a host, for a teacher, and for students as well, because students often have lessons being at home with some brothers, sisters, and parents on their background. So for them to feel more confident and comfortable, not to be distracted by these figures of people, yeah, they can also use virtual background. Then immersive view. We will speak a little bit later about this, and focus mode. So be sure, like make sure that you enable these features when you enter the Zoom website. Then there are some features that should be checked while conducting a lesson online. So one of the things that is really great with about Zoom is the toolbar. It's our controls of the Zoom meeting. It's our hands. It's our tool for doing everything, being online, being together with your students in Zoom. So what to check here? There are, of course, different buttons to check, different options to use, but we will focus on three of them. The first one is security. The second is participants, and the button more. So what are they about? Let's move on to security. So when you started the conference, when you started the lesson, even before your students join, make sure that you enabled all the features that might be needed for your lesson, for your specific lesson, the one that you're going to conduct. For example, you can allow your participants to share screen, you can enable or disable chat, you might allow students to rename themselves or not to allow your students rename themselves. If you have some disobedient students who like renaming themselves in some unknown names with some nicknames that you can't guess, then you can't guess who it is. So you can disable this feature as well. You can allow your students to unmute themselves, or you can disable this feature. Also, sharing Whiteboard, notes, Zoom apps, and meeting timers. So all these features are able, you can find all these features in security part. Then the next thing here is participants. So let me demonstrate once again. Here on the right, I have got the list of participants. In this case, it's only me. And here we have 3 dots, this kind of button. So what can you do with the help of it? You can ask all the participants to unmute. You can allow participants to rename themselves. Also, something that is really important to monitor if your students are with you, how many students you have, not to lose some of the students while conducting the lesson. There is an option to play sound when someone joins or leaves, because sometimes the teacher is busy sharing the sound, the video, the different materials for the task, and it's not always possible to see that someone is trying to join your lesson. And this feature will help you to notice that someone is trying to join you. Also, don't forget to enable waiting rooms, and you can also hide profile features if you wish. And the next thing is the button More. So what is possible to do here? You can open the chat and change some settings. You can record. You can start recording on the computer if you use basic plan, or you can start recording to the cloud if you use the pro version. You can organize breakout rooms. You might use notes, focus mode, and reactions. Also, if you have a lot of students who are quite active and who always want to answer, you might also enable these features, recognize hand gestures, or to play chime or raised hands. So it might be useful if you want to pay attention to those who want, for those who want to be heard. So that's it about meeting settings, and let's move on to some Zoom plans. So there are more than two Zoom plans, but I'm going to briefly speak about basic and pro. Sorry. According to this list of options that are available on both of these plans, you can see that there are not that many differences. One of the most influential, the one that can make a great impact on your lesson, is the duration of the meetings. So if you use the basic version of Zoom, then you have up to 40 minutes for one meeting. Write please in the chat if you faced any troubles with these meetings of 40 minutes, or you use Pro version. Just share what you use, and if you use basic, if it's useful or it brings some difficulties for your lessons because of this limit. While you are sharing, I will also mention that in Ukraine, this limit of 40 minutes might be not working. But if you are abroad, you will not be able to restart the meeting once again after this 40-minute meeting, because there is the setting that you will need to wait for 10 minutes before starting the next Zoom meeting. So please take it into account if you want to move somewhere for some period of time. So share, please. So I can see some comments. If you couldn't find breakout rooms in your Zoom, it means that you didn't enable them in on the Zoom website. So once again, you need to go to Zoom website, use your browser, log in, and check the basic settings. You need just to put a tick next to breakout rooms. When you enable it there, while hosting the meeting, you will see this breakout room feature in your toolbar. So please share your ideas, how the plan influences your lessons, if it has any influence. All right, so what else is different besides this duration of meetings is that Pro plan has artificial intelligence companion. So it is a useful tool that can create a summary of your meeting. It can create some responses to the chat, but it's not something extraordinary that can influence your lesson greatly. So we are all teachers, we are creative, we can do it ourselves. Also, another feature that is available for Pro users is cloud storage, that you can record your lesson to the cloud, not only to your gadget, and some essential apps. Most of them are for not for education, I guess, so you can also work without them. All right. So let us move on and to some tools that can help you to succeed, to have a wonderful lesson. So there are, of course, a lot of different tools that can make your lesson a success. Today we are going to discuss 5 of them: focus mode, autosave chat, immersive view, notes, and whiteboard. So let us start with focus mode. So you might have a question: what for can we use this mode? So the most important thing is to reduce distractions and to increase concentration of your students. And there are some situations when you can use this focus mode, and it can be really helpful. The first is for presentation stage. What I mean here is one of the approaches to teaching some material is presentation, practice, and production. So if you want to present some important material when you start a new topic and you want your students to look at you and what you are sharing, you can use this mode for them not to be distracted by videos of other students, by some extra sounds, and so on. Also, this feature is really helpful for tests and speaking. If you want some people to share opinion, you can choose some separate students to allow them speaking, and every participant of the lesson will hear and see this particular person. All the rest participants are able to use reactions in order to give some non-verbal feedback. Also, you can use this mode in order to organize individual work for students. So if you want your students to complete some complicated task, if you have lack of time, if your time is limited, and you want to do as much as possible with your students, then you can use this focus mode, and your students won't be that much distracted by some other participants. So how to use this mode? You need to you need to start, of course, the meeting, and you need to press more and to start this mode. You can see here an icon that means that the mode is on, and the participants can only see you as a host, your video, the content that you share, your screen, if you wish, and some particular participants that you want other students to see. The next thing is autosave chat. So what for it might we use it? First of all, to collect data about students' progress. So sometimes teachers are busy working, speaking with the group, and students are writing some examples, share some opinion in the chat, and for you to look at it once again, maybe after the lesson, to analyze it, to collect the information about a particular student, to track the progress, what mistakes the student tends to make. You can use this chat. Then it can be used as a place for writing and sharing ideas. So, for example, you have on the spot task for students to create some post, for example, for everyone to see. Yeah, and you can use the chat for sharing ideas, and you can also keep these ideas because you will have this chat saved, and you will be able to provide the more meaningful feedback because you can analyze it after the lesson. You can prepare um, some task feedback, some work on mistakes, and so on. As well, you might ask your students to give feedback to you, maybe to elicit their ideas, their wishes. If, for example, you're going to have your last lesson and you want to receive some ideas from your students, what they want to have in your last lesson, maybe some ideas will be helpful. So you can use this function of Zoom and check it afterwards, not spending too much time during the lesson. The next thing is how to enable this feature. So what to do, where to press to make it work. So first of all, you need to go to Zoom, website. Then you need to click Settings, click the Meeting tab, and you need to switch Autosave to enable or disable this function. Yeah, it's very simple. And if this function is enabled, you will receive the chat, all the messages from the chat immediately after you finish the meeting. So let's move on. And the next thing is immersive view. So what can it be used for? For creating the feeling of offline. Of course, it's not possible to the full yes, but at least using this feature can help students understand that they are one unit, they are one team. They can see each other in the same place, not some physical place, but at least somewhere online. Not just the list of participants, not just like to see everyone at the same time. Then, using different backgrounds, you may bring some variety to your lessons. Of course, we might use different functions and features of Zoom. We have different types of tasks, types of interaction, but why not to try this the great variety of backgrounds to use for immersive view to bring the feeling of something new, something different. And it can be also used with higher levels for panel discussions, debates, whole class work, for students to actively work and to be engaged in the process. The next feature that can help to succeed is notes. Tell me, please, if you have already used notes during your lessons. Please share if you used this and what for. So have you already tried notes, and for which types of activities? So while you are sharing your ideas, your experience, I will tell you where to find this feature. So if you enable it on the website of Zoom, then it will be available in your toolbar. Here you can see it next to the whiteboards and more button. So not very difficult to find. So I see that you didn't try it. But I guess you will after after this webinar, I do hope, because it's really useful. So what can you use it for? The main thing to use it for is for meaningful feedback. Of course, it can be used for some kind of lead-ins, warm-ups, just to note down some ideas, but it's just the best for meaningful feedback. So how to do it? Here you can see some of my ideas, but you can also come up with your own ideas how to use it. First of all, you may organize your students' work in breakout rooms, working in pairs or in groups of 3, 4, and any amount of students you need or you want. You can ask them to share opinions, to discuss some topics, or just to complete some exercises together. And how to organize the feedback afterwards. So use these notes to type some bright ideas that were mentioned by your students and discuss these ideas together in open class. So you may ask some students to agree or to disagree, to add some ideas, to give some examples from their life, and some other different ways. Then you might use notes or type in some words or some sentences or further work on mistakes, for example. You can ask students to read the words that were mispronounced before and correct their pronunciation and to drill afterwards altogether. You can discuss the usage of the words, the meaning of the words, some collocations that can be formed with this or that word, and to note down some examples. Also, you might type sentences with mistakes, the sentences that you've heard from your students while discussing or completing the activity. So you can write down the sentences and highlight some part with mistake and ask students to correct, or maybe not to highlight the mistake, but ask them to find it and then to highlight. You can ask some key ideas of what they remember about their partner. Yeah, for example, they discussed some ideas for the best present, and you can ask what they remember were the suggestions of the partner. And you can again take some notes and summarize the discussion, or ask a student to summarize what result they had after their work. Also, this tool enables teachers to add a picture. So you can add a picture next to a word, for example, and help your students with better understanding of what it means. So it's really helpful, and you should try it as soon as possible. And the next tool to use is Whiteboard. I know that a lot of teachers really like this tool in Zoom, and I am one of them. Why? Because On the one hand, it's just a whiteboard with some additional opportunities, with some additional features. So it looks like mirror boards, but it has even more features to try. What can you see here? It's the screenshot with part of the whiteboard and some tools that can be used during the lesson while sharing this whiteboard. There are different templates for creating mind maps. You can create some tables on the spot or beforehand. The tables can be of different sizes with one row, with one square, with several rows and columns, as many as you wish. You can create some cards, charts. You can add some stickers. You can add some frames to make your writings more better organized, and so on. And also, Whiteboard has a great amount of different templates that can be used for almost everything that you can just think of. Tell me, please, share in the chat which templates have you used, if you used any. You can see that I'm going to speak about Fly Sweater and Virtual Scavenger Hunt. Also share if you tried any of these templates. So share, please, which templates you have already tried, or maybe you didn't try because you were not aware how to do it, how to organize it. So share, please, your ideas. I will give you examples on the two examples of using templates, but there are a lot of them. There are some specific templates for some particular activities. Some of them you may adapt for your needs and aims for different stages of your lesson. So you're welcome to share. All right, so while I'm waiting for your answers, I will share some ideas for using particular templates. So let's start with Fly Sweater. So maybe you've tried this type of activity while having offline classes. If not, now you are able to organize it online. So let's have a look. This type of game is really useful for vocabulary or grammar revision. You might use it for different age categories and different levels. You can adapt it according to the group of your students, according to the topic that you are discussing, according to the level they have, according to their age. And also it will bring some fun to your lesson and will make your students more engaged into the process. So let's have a look how it is organized. So what I did, I opened the whiteboard and found templates. One of the templates was a Fly Sweater. So what is required from a teacher? You can see here a lot of different sticky notes, and there are some words on these sticky notes. You can, of course, change the words. For example, you are discussing the topic wildlife or wild animals, and you can add here different types of animals. And here you can see 3 sweaters, but you can duplicate them according to the number of students that you have in your group, or according to the number of students you want to take part in activity at this moment. So they can do it like 3 students will play for some period of time, then you will ask other students to participate and so on. Or you can just create some additional sweaters. So it's not difficult. Usually it takes 1-2 seconds to do it. So what is the idea? The teacher needs to say the word, and the students need to find the word and put the fly sweater on it or somewhere near it. How can you change it a bit? For example, you can give some definitions of the words, not just pronouncing the word, but explanation of it. And your students can think more, yeah, in order to find which words the teacher is speaking about. If we want to use this type of game for grammar revision or for students to be able to identify some specific structures, you can write here some sentences or some structures, some formulas of tenses, for example, present perfect, future perfect, continuous, and so on in different squares. And you can nominate the structure, and your students will need to find the corresponding card, yeah, with this structure that you mentioned. So it can be done in several ways. You can be flexible in order to organize it in the way that you need and your students need. And the second tool is virtual scavenger hunt. So students can use like all categories of students can use this template. So it's not that difficult. If you have younger students, you can just demonstrate the screen, and for them not to participate, not to use screen, they can just demonstrate something using camera and so on, or they can just speak. Yeah, they can just do the task orally. You can use this activity for a break or a warm-up, or to work with target grammar and vocabulary. So it's quite useful again. What you as a teacher need to do beforehand, it is to create a list of something. It can be a list of things that students need to complete, or to do, or to find. Then you might set timer if you don't want to spend too much time on this activity and you want to keep pace of your lesson. Then demonstrate the list and ask students to complete the activity. So the idea is that your students need to find something or to finish something earlier than others. So the team or the student who is the first to complete is a winner. So that's it about some useful tools for creating a successful lesson. But I have also some tips to improve engagement. If you if you have some ideas, some pieces of advice that you use in your lessons, you're welcome to share as well. Yes, I have. I can see the question. Is it allowed for basic? Yes. I used my account. It is basic, so it works. Yeah. All right. So please share your tips how to improve engagement. or you can share if you have any troubles with engaging the students into activities. So to use this whiteboard, yes, whiteboard is available for everyone, for every type of user. You just need to enable it on Zoom website. So check your settings first of all, because some features are quite new and they might be not enabled from the very beginning. All right, so while you are sharing your tips, I hope I will share tips that I have for you. So first of all, try to use various Zoom tools. Of course, it can become boring if you have a lesson like a lecture when teacher is speaking and students are listening or doing some activities individually. Try to choose different types of interaction, different types of tools, some whiteboard, notes, chat, breakout rooms for checking, for comparing answers, for bringing some difference to the activities. We can't always change the content because we can't change the present perfect tense. But we can change the format of some activities. We can switch from paper books to some online tools. We can ask our students to complete the activity not in the book, but to write some sentences in the chat. And you as a teacher can use reactions, or you can comment, you can correct, or you can ask other students to correct the mistakes or give some to share some impressions on what is suggested in the chat. So try to be flexible and use different techniques, different tools to make your students engaged. The next one, change types of interaction. It's very difficult for students to stay concentrated for a long period of time, especially nowadays when most of their life is online. And switching from one type of interaction to another type will be really appreciated by students. It's why open class activity is not a good thing to have during the whole lesson. Just imagine you have got 8 or 10 students or even more students in your class, and when you have the activity conducted in open class, teacher and all the students, only one person can speak at a time. All the rest of the students are just sitting and listening, or not listening if they get bored. So using different types of interaction, using breakout rooms for peer work, group work, then open class, then individual, will make your students more motivated and interested in the process. Then apply chat and reactions. Yeah, sometimes it becomes boring to use books, to use the same platforms all the time, and using the chats and reactions brings some mobility to your lesson. You can give some immediate feedback to what your students are writing in the chat. They can use some emojis. They can use some reactions there. So they can be really inspired and excited by using this opportunity of typing in the chat. Then create some polls. It's one of the features of Zoom. It's not new, so I do believe that you have already used. If not, try. So polls can be created beforehand, and they can be of two types. You can ask your student to, for example, choose from to have multiple choice question, to answer multiple choice question, and according to the polls, you can, for example, allow your students to choose the breakout room. So you created a poll, you conducted it, and you received your students' ideas. And for example, part of the students are for some idea, some of the students are against. After getting their ideas, their opinions, you can send them to breakout rooms and ask them to actively discuss or find the reasons why they think so, why they are for or against something. And it will be more engaging when students have some shared opinions, some shared ideas. So you should try it. And also try to add some interactive resources. Not only Zoom tools, not only Zoom apps, but some other websites, some videos, some applications. So try to bring some variety to your typical tasks. And now we are going to speak about some useful apps that are integrated to Zoom. So here you can see. Of course, there are a lot of them now, and you can find the ones that are better for you and that fit your demands, meet your demands. Here I suggest only three. They are timer, music, and funtivity. So it's fun and activity together. What about timer? So now teachers don't need to find some timer on Google. Yeah. So now we have this opportunity to set it just from Zoom. You can choose the time that you want, that you need, and just press start and allow all the participants to see the time that is left for this or that activity. So what for can we use the timer? To keep pace of a lesson, not to stay on the same activity for a long period of time. For extra motivation, for example, to have some kind of competition, to do something quicker. And it can help in general your students to feel time, to know, to evaluate how quick they should be, how much time is left, and so on. Some types of activities to be used with timer. Brainstorming. Yeah, so set timer for students to brainstorm some words, some ideas, some notions. Then set timer for word search. Younger students like this activity, and timer is really needed here in order not to spend half a lesson on this type of activity. Then timer is also useful for drawing and writing for some creative tasks. You can set 1 minute timer for higher levels for them to speak on a particular topic. You can ask your students to explain the words that you have in your word list for this or that topic. So they need to explain as many words per minute as possible. And I Spy game. The next thing is a music app. So why do we need it? What for? For better concentration, you can find different playlists on this music app in Zoom, and you can just use it as a background music for students to concentrate. You can use music, of course, for physical activities or for some breaks between tasks. And you can use it as a lead-in or warm-up. For example, if your topic is music and its influence. And the last app that I want to present is Funtivity. It has two options. It can be used for free, and you can also pay for it to have more opportunities for using this application. It gives it allows you to use different types of activities, such as bingo game, some kind of quizzes for guessing on different topics, and also some riddles. You can choose the easier ones for beginners or more complicated for higher levels. You might use it for warm-ups, for final lessons to have some fun, and for some breaks as well. And of course, we all face some challenges. You shared some of the challenges that you face having your lessons online. And the best way to overcome all the challenges is to anticipate them. So you can't, of course, anticipate all the problems that might appear, but here is the very useful approach to dealing with some challenges beforehand. So you need to identify the aim of your lesson. You need to prioritize the activities that are really important for you to conduct and to organize with your group. And you need to think of what might be some difficulties, what are different alternatives, how to organize this or that task. So it's some general approach, and now we are going to have a look at three specific challenges that you might face. It's staff problems, bullying, and some students fail to join breakout rooms. So if you sometimes have unexpected technical problems, you are not alone. Sometimes you might have camera and microphone malfunction, and here are some tips to overcome this problem. First of all, as always, check some settings if everything works properly, if everything works fine, maybe to mute and unmute yourself. Don't forget to try restarting device, reconnecting, maybe it will work. Also, if you have not a very good quality of video or sound, you might turn off camera and then your sound will be better. And the last one, it's download Zoom and use your phone as a camera or as a microphone. So just join as a participant, and one gadget will be for managing the online lesson, and the second will work as camera or microphone. Then bullying. Of course, we can't get rid of it, and while having online lessons as well. So some options, some strategies that might help. First of all, monitor your students while working in breakout rooms. So you might notice some specific situations, some reactions of students, some words. So try to not to lose the chance to remind of some rules of behavior during the lesson. Also, you might disable the chat. You can enable it for some specific activities, or you can just disable it for the rest of the lesson. Or you can disable the private messaging that was mentioned before. And autosave chat if you were busy working, if you didn't pay that much attention to the chat and you just organized the process, you might check what was happening in the chat afterwards, after you finish the lesson. And the last situation, I guess that some of you might have this problem, that students doesn't that students can't join the breakout room because of some unstable internet connection. So student works properly in the main session, but when he or she wants to join the breakout room, he is or she is kicked off the meeting. So what to do in these situations? The teacher shouldn't leave the student alone in the main session. The teacher shouldn't stay alone with the student in the main session. Now, the best option here is to ask the student and his partners to stay in the main session and to continue working from the main session. So every group will work in breakout rooms and one group will stay in main session. So the teacher will be able to move from one breakout room to another breakout room and then to come back to the main session to monitor all the groups, not only one student or not all the students, but one student. So this is what I have for some typical mistakes that you might face. Probably that's it. If you have your own tips, please, you're welcome to share. Let's help each other. Let's make our lessons better. So that's it for today. Thank you for your active participation. I want to remind you of the letter that you will receive tomorrow with the recording of today's webinar. And you will also get some summary of this webinar with some tips, with some detailed information. And as well, you will receive the test, after passing of which you will receive your certificate of attendance, but only if you score 80% of points, yes, 80 plus points. All right, so that's it for today. Have a good evening and enjoy your teaching experience.